one day I literally had 8 adult killers, people who have a reputation for ending other people's life, kick in my door, beat me up. They stole all my stash, all my cash. So they're literally holding me at the edge of this balcony to say that if I didn't sell this cocaine for them, they would throw me off. I was thinking about all the pain I had gone through to that point. If I can help one other person not have to go through that, all worth it.
What I noticed about you off the bat, that is why we hit it off so much. We're on a similar journey here to help encourage and lift others.
Yeah, I was a volunteer. I worked at homeless shelters. I worked with the inner city youth. I became a teacher.
Going from that end of your rope into creating your life by design.
Those wounds also opened doors for me.
In what way?
The subsequent healing and inner work that it took to unpack what happened taught me core principles and core values, so that later, after going to business school and becoming an entrepreneur myself, I could look back at those same tools that helped me going from the streets of Germany to the coast of California and look at it like, whoa, I have a process that helps me achieve impossible goals. And I name it the King's Code.
I love it.
What the King's Code is
What's up? Welcome to the Story Driven Podcast, episode 8. Before we dive in, I would just like to take a moment to say thank you. Whether this is your first episode or you've tuned in for multiple, thank you for giving this show a chance and tuning in really, this has been such an awesome journey so far, interviewing so many purpose-driven, heart-centered entrepreneurs and creators who are just on a mission for really impacting the lives of others, spreading a positive message, and really just making the world a better place, and one life at a time. I'm really excited about this small corner of the internet that we're growing hopefully a community of people who care about learning about other people's stories. Me, Ian, and my girlfriend Kim actually caught up with Miro and his girlfriend Nikki out in Joshua Tree to shoot this episode, as well as the next episode, which will be interviewing Nikki. The Joshua Tree vibes were immaculate, so hopefully you enjoy the episode, and please bear with us. There was a little bit of wind, specifically in the first around 10-15 minutes of the episode, that caused some noise on the mic. So I hope that I tried cutting it down. Hopefully that doesn't take away from the enjoyment of the episode too much for you. I think it was absolutely a worthwhile episode, full of a bunch of golden nuggets and a really, truly unique underdog story.
We're here in beautiful Joshua Tree, where the air is so just nice, warm desert air, a fresh breeze hitting you. Just open your heart and open your mind to what's next. And I want to thank you, brother, and everyone here to be present, and for you to making it all the way out here, bringing the whole team, the whole squad, the whole family. Just mad respect for what you do with brand story, elevating others. So I want to say that.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Love you, dude.
Love you, man. That's why I'm out here.
My samurai warrior.
Dude, Miro the hero. I'm stoked to get started with you on this pod, bro.
Yeah. So I want to say this. Most people want to be heard. I want to be received. I'm like a Jesus freak, operating on another frequency. Please believe I got a message. Check it. You can manifest it. Just be with that. And let that land.
Just be here now. It's been quite the adventure, man, and we just met, and yet already feel like we've accomplished so much together.
Yeah.
It's been awesome, man. When did we meet? Like a little over a month ago?
Really? Dang.
Maybe 2 months ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was at the end of March at the Abundance Retreat.
It's so crazy to think that that was the first time we actually met.
I know. I felt like I knew you before that, though, is the thing. Like,
Yeah.
when I met you there, I was like, wait, I know Miro.
Yep.
Other lifetimes.
That's my brother Evan right there.
Yeah, it's like, that's my brother Miro. Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, man, we hit it off, dude.
Yeah, totally, dude.
And you're one of those humble high achievers. Like, you've got the receipts. That's really what I appreciate about you. Like, you have the track record of success in multiple domains, multiple niches with all kinds of businesses of all sizes. Creative genius, successful crypto investor, brand story, podcast, working with healers, doctors, leaders, business owners, big 8-figure level stuff, and beyond. And it's like, what don't you do, Evan?
Oh, bro, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for acknowledging me and really seeing me. And this podcast is Miro's story-driven podcast. Just, it says so much about who you are. The fact that we're here to talk about you, yet you're starting out by making me feel like so seen and acknowledged, bro. So I just appreciate you, and I just love who you are, how you show up for others. You know, that's really what I noticed about you off the bat. That is just really what I felt like why we hit it off so much. I feel like really aligned with our mission. And we're on like a similar journey here, to be here to help encourage and lift others.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to learn more about your story, because there's still so much. I feel like I've scratched the surface from our few conversations.
Agreed, man. There's a lot to unpack here.
Well, you know, I'd love it if you just started wherever you feel like, from the take us back to the beginning. What's your story?
Yeah. So I was born in Germany, and I'm the son of, shout out to mom, Miro Heyink, who's a PhD in psychology, and she's been a healer for many, I don't know, generations. My grandmother was a healer, and I didn't know all of these things, but she was struggling with a lot of things. She was a widow. My half brother was an orphan, half orphan. His dad, probably before I was born, committed suicide, and I never really met my mom when she was a fully functioning human being, because it kind of wrecked her world in a way that I don't know that she ever fully recovered from that. And so, I love my mom. She did the best that she could with what she had, and she instilled in us, as a psychologist and as a healer doing this work. Oh, the birds are showing up. What's up, birds? She instilled in us the value of really helping others, and I think that's what you're speaking to, that if we're going to be here on this planet, we're going to really make a difference for other people. She helped refugees. Wow. And she didn't care if people had the money or not. A lot of them, by definition, didn't. Wow. And she showed up, and we dealt with a lot of financial anxiety and uncertainty growing up, because single mom, 2 kids. I was a mixed race kid, black father that I didn't know in America. And then this missing person that was my brother's dad, because he killed himself. And she did her best, but she was serving. She was truly serving, helping. Like, we had people come to our house and saying, your mom, saved our lives.
Wow.
And I knew that was true, because some of the people she was treating, they were at risk of deportation to, Turkey, Kurdistan, and other places in the Middle East, where they would literally be executed when they land. That would be the things that happen. And she was, helping these people find a home in Germany where we grew up. And although some people had money and some didn't, people would come to our house with food as a thank you, So it was this weird way of growing up where we moved about every year. By the time I was 10 years old, I had moved 10 times, different schools, whatever. I heard stories of our landlord coming, or maybe coming, or somebody coming to collections, right? Like taking our TV or stuff. So we grew up with a massive financial anxiety. And also I grew up with this thing of not really feeling like I belong anywhere. And the more I'm in this entrepreneurial, spiritual awakening journey, I'm finding that people are going through the same thing. I was like mixed race, so not black enough, not German enough. And no matter what I did, it was just like not enough, and I didn't fit anywhere, right? So I was rural Germany. That's where I grew up. And my mom was white, my brother was white, and his father figure I didn't have. I never met him. Black guy somewhere in America, you know? So that was kind of the backdrop to me coming into this planet. Some of those cards, I didn't have a choice in having them. But it was when I had my near-death experience at 16 that I really had a profound awakening, and my luck shifted in a profound way.
Yeah, tell me more.
Yeah. So I remember specifically. So because of this lack of belonging, from about 11 to 16, I was into like substance abuse. I wanted to belong anywhere. So like I found belonging with the weed and hip hop culture, you know, listening to Snoop Dogg and Tupac Shakur. And I was like, I want to be cool selling weed like the gangsters do, you know.
This was in Germany?
Yeah, in Germany.
In rural Germany.
And yeah, literally small town, rural Germany. And I had a do-rag and a white tee and a fro. And it was interesting, you know. Some people had never seen a black person their entire life and saw mixed race, and so they like look at me like, oh look, and like literally point at me. A big fro, people come up and just like touch my hair. I'm like, I'm right here, dude. Like what? So it was really interesting. But yeah, so I was on this journey of just finding belonging with sort of the wrong crowd, rebels who would just like get high and skip school and get drunk, and literally from about 11 to 12 years old to pretty much 16. I was getting high and drunk, almost like blackout drunk every other day. I was slowly kind of destroying my life in a way. And it all led up to this event when I moved to Hamburg, Germany, which is the Chicago of Germany, right? And yeah, man, I got with this crowd of, you know, I could sell some weed for them and it would be cool, it'd be fun. One day I literally had 8 adult like men, you know, killers, people who have a reputation for ending other people's life, come into my apartment, kick in my door, beat me up. They stole all my stash, all my cash, and they were like, you owe us money now. I was like, what? I was like, and they were pushing me at the edge of this balcony on the 7th story. I was on the 7th floor. And I was living there all by myself. My mom was they lived in rural Germany. I was in Hamburg by myself. So they're literally holding me at the edge of this balcony to say that if I didn't sell this cocaine for them, they would literally throw me off. Yeah. That was such a profound moment for me, because that night I remember feeling so hopeless and so alone. I'm in my bed, studio apartment, 7th floor, black eye, broken nose, and the door was broken in. So I couldn't lock it.
Oh my God.
And every time the elevator went up, it was like ding, and I was like, oh, fuck, they're coming back. And it was literally, that's what it took. It took me coming to this like elevator moment of like, I can't live my life this way anymore. There's enough is enough. And that ended up being my biggest blessing.
Wow.
Yeah.
The rock bottom moment becomes the biggest blessing.
Huge turning point in my life.
Wow.
So it was that moment when that elevator went ding that I said, okay, I want to stop this life now. Like now. And I'm going to, like, I'd already, like, nothing to lose at this point, right? I've lost my money. I can't be with these people I thought were my friends anymore. And I might as well really go for it. I might as well really follow my dreams. And my childhood dream, Evan, was that I've always wanted to go to America someday. And it's silly. We're right here, Joshua Tree, like super paradise, right? At that time, going to America was about as impossible as going to Pluto for me. Mm-hmm. I had no education to show for. I didn't know anybody for real. Like my mom, my own dad, I didn't know him. I didn't have citizenship. I didn't have a scholarship. I didn't even know what that means. I didn't have any relationships, right? I always talk about the ships. Relationships, mentorships, scholarships, citizenship. I didn't have any of the ships that you need to go to America. And for any immigrants or friends of immigrants, you know, it's not as easy as filling out a form and getting in line to get your visa or become an American citizen. At that time, I felt like 6-7 billion people would rather be in America than where they are now. And I'd have to somewhere get in that line, you know? But I was so determined. I just like knew I'm going to do whatever it takes and just really go all in. And I learned these profound lessons. So what happened is I said, I'm going to America. I literally the next morning after this event, I went out and I told my mom what I've been up to. I admitted I've been doing with the wrong people, with the wrong stuff. And I'm going to America. And she's like, for sure, I got you. Let's go. And like, she didn't have more resources than I had, but she believed in me, you know? And one of the biggest lessons I had, I threw away my SIM card. So can you imagine, like, if you're in a wrong sort of toxic environment, taking every contact of your phone today and hitting the delete button?
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I did. I like threw away my SIM card. And my mom made the suggestion that, you know, you can call like a charity to volunteer and have an opportunity to go in America that way.
Ah, smart.
So we got creative. And so so here's the thing. There's this sequence of events that happened since I made this decision to go that are not damn near a miracle. They're miracles, straight up. And they came hit after hit after hit. First thing that happened is I'm going to the head of the embassy in Berlin. This is the same person who rejected us 15 times since I was 3 years old. We petitioned for my citizenship. Now I'm going and I'm saying, look, I left this gang life. I'm going to America. We just need to figure out this paperwork thing. My dad doesn't really cooperate with this. Like, what can we do to go? And this woman said, like, you've done everything you can. Your dad is not signing this documentation to have you be a citizen. So I'm going to use my discretionary power to grant you birthright citizen. Shit. And that was one of the biggest blessings in my life, dude.
Angel.
Yeah.
Wow.
Straight up. So that was the first step secured. We got citizenship. And that allowed me to get my foot in the door. The second miracle that unlocked was my first ever mentor. So based on my suggestion from my mom to like find a place to volunteer, literally the second person I called was my first mentor, Brad Graff. Big shout out. He now runs the Learning Club of KCK in Kansas City, Kansas. And he's an angel embodied as well. He was the kind of guy who was mugged at gunshot. He was mugged at, what's it called? Gunpoint. Thank you. And by 16-year-olds, people who've been exactly where I had been. And instead of calling the police and pressing charges, he started an after-school program to get the kids off the street. And this is the person I'm talking to. I'm literally using payphones. If you remember payphones, I put my little, not even quarters, euros in there. My thick German accent, 10 times worse than what it is today, because I actually had a thick German accent, and I barely spoke English. Although I had studied my whole life, I wasn't indoctrinated like I am now. And I was like, yo, so I just left this gang, and I'm going to America, and I'm going to find a place to like volunteer my time. And he was kind of recapping what I'm telling him. Like, you left the gang, you're trying to live here, and like, what? And I thought he's going to hang up on me. He said, that's crazy, because I'm already planning to go to Germany in 2 weeks, to like Hamburg, you know, to meet a former volunteer who did exactly that.
Wow.
And I was like, my hometown? This is like, what? And then literally, I met him 2 weeks later in my hometown in Germany. And he wasn't kidding. He showed me pictures of the work that he did with inner city youth, kids that look like me, brown kids and black kids. They are dealing with the same stuff I went through. And he said that they need male role models. and I can be a male role model to them. It's like, what, me? And this was such a profound moment for me, Aaron, because I was thinking about all the pain I had gone through to that point. If I can like help one other person not have to go through that, all worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you know about this because you're here living that pain and purpose journey as well. So that was such a huge initiation. I got to come here and I was a volunteer. I worked at homeless shelters. I worked with the inner city youth. I became a teacher. And then I met the kids in person. And that was another huge awakening, another miracle, because I wasn't just, so they were dealing with the peer pressure and gang violence and high crime rate in Wyandotte County, Kansas at the time. I don't know if it's any better today, to be honest.
So now I'm curious, man. Like, so you met your first mentor.
Yes.
And how, like, what was life like for you here, like in America? Like, what was it like first moving here and getting your bearings? I mean, I couldn't imagine moving to a new country with very little connections to no connections other than Brad. I mean, that's great that you were able to meet not only, someone, but a mentor as one of your first connects, but also just like not knowing the language. Yeah, I just couldn't imagine, like, what was that like?
Yeah. I loved everything immediately. It was a bit of a culture shock because everything was big. Walmart is crazy. Like, I've never seen so much cereal in one aisle.
When was this, by the way? What year?
2008.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I had just turned 18, and that's about how long it took me to get my stuff together to come here. But yeah, made it to America, 18 years old. February 2nd of 2008, I landed in Kansas City with $50 in my pocket. And I immersed myself in contribution, service, education. I think that was the biggest thing that happened. I had my next angel or miracle that happened. Pushy Angels, a good friend of mine, Hazel, talks about pushy angels. Hazel Ortega. And yeah, so just God like placed these pushy angels in my life. They're my mentors. He's like, try this, do this.
Beautiful.
And then, so Brad was a huge turning point in my life. Dr. Amber encouraged me to go to college. So that was the thing where I was like so hungry and obsessed with education, because that was the point I was trying to make earlier, where I met these kids. I'm like, okay, to break the cycle of poverty, they needed education. And for me to give it to them, I had to become educated first. And I went all in on personal development, education, to the point that where before I even had any kind of scholarship for real, or even, I don't know my eligibility about going to college at the time, I would go to college classes, personal finance, English composition. I would just sit in the back of the room, take massive notes and do all of the work. And at one point, one of these pushy angels, Dr. Amber, noticed me and said, what are you doing? Like, you need to apply for the scholarship. And I said, what is a scholarship? And she explained this to me. And next thing you know, I do an interview, I do an essay. I got Henry W. Block, rest in power, grant me not a citizenship, that already happened, a scholarship, $25,000 he invested in me.
Wow.
Which felt like $25 million, because that was my ticket to freedom. It meant that I could stay in America and actually have a full-blown life, career, everything.
Amazing.
And I felt so supported by everyone. I became a teacher. I studied English as a second language. I went to Cambridge University with a summer school type program, and was like at 19 years old, I was the youngest certified, English teacher to adults.
Wow. 19 years old, teaching probably older, a lot more students who are mostly older than you. That's crazy, man.
And I was a non-native speaker. That's rare too, that you have a non-native speaker become an English teacher at that age. It was like, I was just absorbing information at this crazy pace because I was in flow state. I had everything at stake. I'd given a chance to really live my life in a meaningful way. I've always looked for meaning. And I noticed that when I'm developing myself, I can give more to others. And that dynamic was so rewarding. So I went all in on that, and I became really successful in traditional terms. I graduated from these schools at the top, and
fully educated, Cambridge English teacher at 19 years old.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
From 18, just moving here, to 19, already being, what were you, like a teacher's apprentice, or were you fully teaching classes on your own?
I started my first school like right away. I think it was at summer of 2009. Nah, no way. It was 2009, 2010,
Okay.
pretty much. I started my first school. It was a English school for parents of that learning club, because they wanted to speak to their Latino and Latinx, I guess, kids. They wanted to speak English to them when they come home from school, so they know what the heck the kids are doing. So I taught their parents how to speak English to their kids.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and that was really rewarding.
Yeah.
And I had, again, a lot of support from my mentors. But
Teaching is so rewarding, man.
yeah, and
I was a swim school instructor.
Really?
No, yeah, I taught kids for 4 years. It's so funny. It's like that part of my life I kind of forgot. But yeah, every summer, sophomore year of high school, I was like 16, and I ended up ditching the football team because I wanted to get some money. But I didn't realize how rewarding it would be, just teaching these kids to swim. Really, like making a difference in someone, like teaching someone how to swim. The more I thought about it, the more I really engaged in the act of that with these kids. It was like, man, this could be saving someone's life. You never know, that like somebody could fall in. And so when you're teaching that, like making that difference, and then also with language, communicate, like helping others communicate, such a huge difference you're making in their life.
Absolutely. Speaking English, at that time I realized it opens people's door to careers. It's life-changing. Another whole world opens up for you when you have English, and so much opportunity comes with that. So I really took pride in that, and I'm an educator at heart, and I always will be. I just know that. It's never stopped. So that was a huge blessing to have that awakening, Yeah.
That's
So
awesome,
that was the first chapter, really, on just like becoming an adult, coming to America.
Man, what a journey.
Yeah.
Such a young age.
Yeah.
I mean, damn. I went through my fair share of bullying, like growing up, but I could never imagine being told, being put over a balcony and saying, hey, we're going to kill you. What did that feel like having your life threatened like that by 7, 8 grown men?
Yeah. It was super traumatizing. And those wounds also opened doors for me.
In what way?
I didn't realize it at the time, but the subsequent healing and inner work that it took to unpack what happened taught me core principles and core values that I hold in my life. So that later, after going to business school and becoming an entrepreneur myself, having my whole corporate dropout experience, I could look back at those same tools that helped me going from the streets of Germany to the coast of California and look at it like, whoa, I have a process that helps me achieve impossible goals.
So it was like reverse engineering the process that you just through. What do you think it was that was driving you from getting out of that situation? Do you think it was fear, the fear of ending up in that scenario of where you were, of the outcome of if you stayed in that life?
Dude, my biggest driver was I wanted to belong somewhere so bad. I wanted to be seen and just like, yeah, you can be yourself here and it's safe.
That's what America represented for you.
A chance at that, 100%. Because nobody looked like me where I grew up, and nobody had the level of ambitions that I had. When I told people I'm going to America, they laugh in my face. Literally. And so belonging was, I think, the biggest driver. I just wanted to know that I belong somewhere. And I've always dreamed that there's this group of Avengers somewhere. And I had this dream that I think it was a meditation, honestly, but it just came to me that I spoke to myself as a child and I was like, you have a superpower and you're not alone. And your job is to find others who share these powers, like a group of Avengers. And together you're going to have so much fun and you're literally going to save the world. I was like, yes. And so there was this hope that I would find people that I would belong to one day. And I feel so much, yes, that happened, Yeah, and now with what we do with leadership retreats and the environments that we're in, we are around leaders who create tribes and give others permission to belong.
Absolutely.
And that's just the full force circle, you know?
And to become leaders in their own right
100%.
and lead others to become leaders. I really feel that the ripples of helping, through education, through the teaching, but to help others to not only, there's the idea of teaching someone to fish and they will never go hungry.
Mm-hmm.
But then like teaching others to teach others to fish,
Mm-hmm.
in a sense of like teaching others to become leaders,
Mm-hmm.
so that they can help others become leaders. I mean, I don't know, man. I really feel like this team that we're forming, it really does feel like, like world-changing impact is on the horizon.
It is. It's what I like to call the ripple of impact.
Yeah.
And talk about ROI. It's the ripple of impact. That's where it's at.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that, man. So you're in America. You're a teacher. You're young. You're now your early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
What's next?
So I went to conferences and I started speaking actually very early.
Oh, wow.
And I went to one specific event because I was an activist in the immigrants' rights movement too. I've met dreamers, which some of you guys don't know, but you probably do. Those were people who came to America as infants, babies, and they, in my opinion, deserve the same opportunities as everyone here. They had been in America longer than I have. They were sitting next to me in these classrooms.
I've heard of them, yeah.
Right? And they're sitting next to me in these classrooms and they're A players. Like seriously, study hard, work hard, do everything that they can to advance themselves and their families. And they are like living this whole shadow reality. So I learned about that they can get pulled over and get deported. Families are being split apart. And that just irked me in a way that I wanted to be part of the solution to that. So I was into activism, traveled across America, rallied, and went to Washington and did like local grassroots leadership. And I think it was during that time that I really learned how to stand for something. And I met a person at an event who said it. And I asked him, somebody who's been really successful and a mentor type. And I asked him, what would you say I should study to make the biggest possible impact I can make? And he said, study business principles. I was like, okay. So I took that, I went to business school, and Kansas City at the time had the first entrepreneurship undergraduate program. So I studied entrepreneurship at school, ironically. And it was not the same as being an entrepreneur in real life.
Yeah.
I learned
Never
that
will be, yeah.
later. But that was what's next. So I went to entrepreneur school, so to speak. And
wow. I didn't even know that existed.
yeah.
To the level of like, I've heard of like business like degrees, like people going to school for business to learn to become a business like administrative like manager.
Right.
Which is not being an entrepreneur.
Exactly.
And it feels like a rug to me. It feels like a big like, man, I would be pissed if I realized I went to business school just to get taught to be an employee.
I'm so glad you say that. Listen, literally, like I went to some of these classes where they're teaching you case studies of how to manage Coca-Cola from whatever billions of dollars to the next level billions of dollars. It's like, cool. Like, how is this going to be? Unless I work for the next Coca-Cola or Coca-Cola, that's not going to be applicable for taking a business from 0 to 1.
Right.
Or from 1 to 10 even. So, yeah, very interesting journey. First year of entrepreneurship was in 2018. So we'll fast forward a little bit.
Oh, nice. But you're actually, that was the same year of mine.
Nice.
2018.
Nice. Look at us.
7 years, man.
Dang. 7 years? Really?
Yeah. Well, 6.
6, yeah. 6. But still,
Math.
I mean,
Math
we're like a full toddler now.
I would say like 7 years is where, like, once you're in something for 7 years, like whether it be a relationship or like something, you're in it.
Yeah, you're a boy. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna be a boy.
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna be a man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So that was my like second big awakening. Was in 2018. So I'd been a success on paper. I worked for the biggest companies in Kansas City, like literally Cerner at the time, who's now been acquired by Oracle Health, was where I learned consulting. And high tech IT consulting, working on big projects, and then dropped out of that, got into digital marketing, worked for big digital marketing agencies with brands like Sprint, who then later got acquired by T-Mobile for like 11 billion. And that was cool. That was really hard, but taught me a lot. US Soccer was one of our clients.
Wow.
So big brands. Ford Motors, we helped with the app projects. And
What was your role in consulting?
I was in consulting, so I was in a role. It was a mid-level management leadership role where I was kind of at the hub of the creative team, the boardroom, the client side, and the developers. And so I had to speak the language of all those people and make sure that we create a cohesive product where everybody's included. So I was kind of like the glue in between everyone, which was really interesting and came really handy later.
Yeah, it sounds like a multifaceted role. Like you have to wear a lot of hats.
Yes, and it was also a lot of grinding it out and finding myself in that process. So in the end, it wasn't meant to be. I had a dropout experience in 2018, right, when I started my business, because I went through divorce and then I lost my job. And I was just super lost. And here I was. I bought my first house. I had my son, Elliot, was 2.
Oh wow!
And we looked beautiful, like a beautiful, happy family to everyone else, but deep down, super unfulfilled and depressed. So yeah, I got to the point where I couldn't hold it up anymore, and I had started to have suicidal thoughts. And I hit a new rock bottom moment when I was beginning to have these thoughts of like, hey, I don't want to be at work and I'm stressed out here. And I don't want to go at home. I don't want to go home to this toxic environment that I created there. And honestly, I don't want to be anywhere. And I started thinking about, I remember specifically driving across the Heart of America Bridge in Kansas City. There was this red, not a pickup truck, like a full semi-truck on this left side, and then the Missouri River on the right. And I was like, I can swerve into the truck, I can drive off this bridge. And those were the thoughts I was tolerating. And I caught it. And I didn't know what to do about it. So I wasn't a praying man or really religious at all or anything of that nature, but I just said, God help. And in a very short amount of time, I had these pushy angels show up in my life.
Wow.
And this person was my first life coach. He's an NLP practitioner, energy healer. And he would just show me how I had been creating my own reality, my whole life with my belief system. And he taught me these tools of empowerment and NLP. And I would start going to seminars here in San Diego. And
could you describe what NLP is? What does that stand for?
Yeah. For those who have not been indoctrinated, NLP is neuro-linguistic programming.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's the foundation of the language of the subconscious mind. And if you go deeper, that rabbit hole goes into hypnosis. And it's also super applicable for sales and marketing and all skills that came really handy later. So that was the foundation of my training at that time. Tony Robbins is a very famous NLP practitioner.
Yes.
So is Oprah Winfrey. So that was powerful because now I had this tool. And Arjul was actually the name of my first life coach.
Where did these angels come from?
Freaking heaven, dude.
Just out of nowhere.
Honestly, okay, you will appreciate this. I think I met Arjul in a ClickFunnels Facebook group. Straight up. We were learning digital marketing. I wanted to become an entrepreneur. And so, yeah, it was online communities at first. Because I was in Kansas City. The community I was looking for, conscious entrepreneurs were not there. That I was aware of. And I found my community, my first belonging type people online. And then
you just feel intuitively you just found those, you were seeking something more. And do you feel like your intuition, was it God that gave you that drive?
Yeah, totally.
It was God?
Totally. So now looking back, I've been able to sort of codify these miracles and summon them again.
Yeah.
And I name it the King's Code.
I love it.
And what the King's Code is, it's this transformational leadership process that takes anyone from anxious and alone to abundant and aligned. And the specific triggers that caused that transformation were right there in front of me in my story that I shared. The first gate is clarity. Clarity opens the door to a new reality. And what that does is, for me, it was having that clear vision. When I decided, okay, I want to go to America. Like, that's what I want. Like, that's the most important thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
That was that clarity. Or later in entrepreneurship, like my first coach, right? I was like, that's what you do for a living? That's what I want to do for a living.
Mm.
When I see those people, like, that's what I want. That's clarity.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first step. So many people never even get to the point where they actually know what they want. They think they know what they want, but they don't.
Or what I feel like most people, they go, well, that would be nice, but couldn't be for me.
Right. Exactly. They take themselves out as soon as that would be nice, but yeah, they take themselves out of the equation.
What do you think it was that when you would have those visions, like nothing would stop you, like you just go after it? What do you think that was?
I had already experienced losing everything. So at this point, it was like, cool, we tried that life. Let's try like the full body, full yes life as well. Let's just go for it. Let's just see what happens. But there's a second ingredient. The second gateway is commitment.
Mm.
And that's where everything changed.
Yeah.
When I was like, cool, it would be nice to go to America. I've been telling that story my whole life to people that laughed in my face. But when I said, okay, enough is enough. I'm changing my life. I'm doing whatever it takes. I'm going to America, like no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
That energy is commitment. And the universe conforms to commitment. Huge abundance and manifestation principle. Because a lot of people are interested in having the world change or their lives change, but are you committed?
Like in terms of like commitment, would you say like that looks like action, like taking action?
Yeah, there's no
believing it, positive thinking. Like, what does that look like to you? Commitment.
So when for example, I got the opportunity I heard about this scholarship, and this person invited me to apply for a scholarship. Having a scholarship meant I could be in America, stay in America, get an education, be of contribution, and be of service. Like, I'm doing that no matter what it takes. I was like, I'm going to crush this interview. I'm going to crush this essay. So what it looked like is like working with whatever mentors, teachers I needed to work with, staying up as long as I need to, like doing whatever it takes. Like, I was a maniac on a mission. I was doing unreasonable things for an unreasonable amount of time to make it happen. You know, if I get an obstacle, great. That's the way. That's the part of it. I'm overcoming it. I already decided I'm getting the outcome. So when the obstacle shows up, of course we're going to blast through this thing. I don't need to know how, right? I commit first, and then I'll figure it out. So it's that energy of it's happening.
You know what? That you said earlier that really stuck with me is that you had already lost, or you had already been at essentially the rock bottom.
Yeah.
And looking back on my story, I think that was the same moment for me. It's like when you've lost everything, you're free to do anything. And like when you've already reached that place of like hopelessness, it's like, well, F it. It's like, if I'm gonna be here, why not give it everything I've got?
Exactly.
You really realize in those moments, like what even is, when you've lost all hope and it's like, can't get any worse. What am I so scared of? And then it becomes like for me, it became like well, might as well try.
Yep.
And just keep trying and trying and trying, because giving up, it's easy. Giving up is so easy. It's just like, I saw my life, if I had just given up and just like stuck to whatever box, put myself in whatever box that society was designed to put you in, right? And I was just looked down that path and I was like, man, that looks so easy and so boring that it's like, yeah, man, like I was in the same boat as you, you know, not the same boat, but when it came to the depression, the suicidal ideation, my suicidal ideation, I would say, I've really hit a wall in 2020, and similar to you, it was God that I had to turn to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, after turning my back on God for a long time.
Yeah, same, dude.
Wanting to be angry at him for everything I had been through, that victim mentality, like, man, why me? Why was I put in this situation? And I think that the more I turned to God, the more it became a realization of, oh, all of these tests, all of this hardship, of this adversity is a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't
Dude, I
feel
love
like
that
it.
you say that, man.
Doesn't feel like it at the time.
Yeah. I feel like something has shifted too about commitment, what it looks like to me today than what it looked like then. At that time, it was a very like overcoming adversity, persistence in the face of it, that type of energy. Now it's more of a surrendering to the result, where I'm like co-creating with God in the universe of like, here's what we're creating, and I'm choosing to have it happen easily. I'm choosing to have it happen with effortlessly. I'm choosing to have it happen like it's already done. We're just waiting for the rest of y'all to figure it out.
I love that. That's similar energy I've tapped into for sure.
I know,
it's the
dude.
only way to make all this shit run. Yeah. Like, to have all the moving parts of a production company. That's what almost took me out in 2020, to be honest. It was all of the everything, man. Just like the weight of everything.
Mm-hmm.
The little micro decisions. I decision fatigue when it comes to entrepreneurship. Like, what am I supposed to do? And then it just became that, like, just trust. I think that was it. Like, coming back to my relationship with God, it became like a just trust in me. Just put that trust outside of yourself. Like, it's going to be okay. You're going to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And you just roll with the punches and just go learn to. I think that's the practice that I've been working on, is the practice of going with the flow.
Yeah, that's
just like
everything.
Tapping in with the flow. And like, it was recently a show I watched, Shogun. And at the end of that show, I highly recommend it, by the way. Great show.
I'm already like, let's go. I'm subscribed.
So it's on Hulu. It's called Shogun.
Okay, cool. I'll watch
and
that.
it's a feudal Japan.
Cool.
And it's like this. Anyways, long
you know, I love
short,
my samurai, so.
Exactly. So it's the samurai warrior stuff. And at the end of the show, he says something. I don't want to spoil it, but he basically says, a fool tries to control the wind. I study it. Study the wind.
That's fire.
Yeah.
A fool tries to control the wind. I study it.
He's like, I've learned to study it, or like, I focus on studying it. And it's like, damn, what a saying. Well, thank you for inviting me here, man. And I want to get back to your story.
Yeah, of course.
And I want to get back into specifically, going from that end of your rope to the abundant tribe leader that you now are. Like, take me through that process. What was it like going from out of the corporate world into creating your life by design?
Hell yeah, dude. So the biggest thing and the final thing in the King's Code is, we had the clarity piece that opens the door to a new reality. We have the commitment piece where you're like, I'm going for it. I know what I want, all in, no matter what, even though I don't know how I'm going to do it. And then the third piece was community. And that just totally changed the game. And that's my biggest sort of piece of advice for anybody, is like getting clear on what you want, decide that you are going for it, and then surround yourself with people who are living that life, who are on the same journey with you.
That's so key, dude.
That's what it was. So yeah, I after the hardest part of my life, divorce, depression, anxiety, all of that, then calling in my first ever mentor. It's one thing to have a mentor and a coach, and it's another thing to be surrounded by them.
Oh yeah.
And so now I invested in masterminds and really invested myself in this new way. I read like 80 books in 6 months, and then I started hiring the people who wrote those books and like find their mentors and literally go down that rabbit hole, invested an absorbent amount of money in a very short amount of time in my personal development with pride, And yeah, we went to retreats, masterminds, San Diego, like the capital of coaching, I heard. So I had to go. Mastered sales, still in the mastery of it. I'm never finished with that. But took that on, these pillars of development that every entrepreneur has to learn. Like sales, I decided to fall in love with that process. Marketing, I decided to be and master at it. And then rockstar results. I decided to become the best transformational coach in the world. I decided to become the most powerful healer in the universe. Like whatever it takes to be the best at what I do and continue that development in myself, because when I'm bigger and I'm better, I can serve more, I can give more. It's like a video game, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I realized how easy life can be when you have level 12 enemies, right? And you're level 5. Yeah, it's going to be rough. It's going to be a tough time, right? You're going to get better. You're going to gain some XP. When it's not working out for you and you're getting slayed, you're still getting XP every time you go in the field. But it's not as fun, right? But when you're level 12, you're level 12 enemies, like, yo, this is a worthy opponent. Let's go. And then eventually you're freaking level 17. You're like, this is nothing.
Thank you, dude. I love the video game analogy because it's literally what I used when I was getting into entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
I would play video games as like literally like consciously like pulling from that, like the grit and resistance that it takes to overcome games like really hard games like Elden Ring was one, where it's like you're just getting your ass whooped, and it's just like you just learn to make that little tweak, and then you level up, and before you know it, you've beaten this game that at the beginning it looked like an impossible mountain. And this is the same exact approach I started taking to my business, and I even created like templates where I gamified my business.
Cool.
Like I would have my sales, I would have the amount of calls that I, the amount of people that I've reached out to, the amount of work I put, the hours, everything. And I would like literally level myself up.
I love that, dude.
And it's so funny because like, there's haters or like even friends of mine who would be like, why are you wasting or like, why play video games, you nerd? And I'd just be like, this is why.
Just watch.
Just watch.
Yeah, just watch what we're creating while you were struggling over there having a hard time. I'm making a game and I'm winning.
I'm having fun with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also too the definition of winning, dude. I think that too many people think that winning is when you finally get there, when you finally have the awards and the $1 billion in the bank and whatever that looks like to them, you know? And honestly, winning is simply waking up every morning and doing your damn best, the things that you can control to further yourself and make a difference for other people.
100%.
Winning is like win, win, win. It has to be a win for me, a win for them, and a win for the world. Either, win, 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 or no deal. It's like that. So yeah, I really fell in love with personal development and community. So yeah, that's the process. It's from alone to aligned, from anxious and alone to abundant and aligned. Clarity opens the door, commitment makes it happen, and community is just like rocket fuel. It's like you surround yourself by people. Most people don't know this. I learned this on the subconscious mind study, that we have these things called mirror neurons. Have you heard of that?
No.
Mirror neurons are these things that we have in our brains that have us automagically copy the subconscious behaviors of the people we're surrounded by.
Mm-hmm.
So you start seeing that when you see people hanging out, they start moving the same mannerism or just like crossing their legs the same way. It's unconscious things that we start adopting. And for a lot of people who are probably listening and looking to upgrade their lives in a big way, well, surround yourself by people who are living the result that you want to have. At first, you may feel like, oh, I'm the dumbest person in this room and everybody here is super successful. Great. That's the room you want to be in.
Yep.
Otherwise, you're always going to have that upper limit and you're not going to really go any further than you have gone. Mm-hmm. But if you put yourself in the rooms where everybody is winning at a higher level, long enough, you stay in those rooms long enough, you're unconsciously going to calibrate to that average sweet spot, because we're looking for safety in social communities by being part of the group. And so I used that same longing for belonging that I was missing and used it as fuel to really drive me forward in my development and then creating that environment for the people I'm called to serve.
It's crazy because a lot of people are willing to invest a lot of money into things that up their status, but on a superficial level. Mm-hmm. Like we're talking designer stuff, hey, go to, on this trip or this vacation to post the IG pics or whatever to look great, but are not willing when it comes down to it to invest in themselves, into mentorship, finding those communities where they can find those rooms. And it's just not something, I just don't think it's something that people are aware of, that like they can do that. Like that's out there. It's actually like so available.
Totally.
There's so many people out there who've made it, like wealthy, affluent in every single industry, that I've found that like I've hit people up on IG even just with that curiosity, and just with really like showing up, just wanting to be a student of theirs. Like, hey, like I see what you're doing. Amazing. Like, can I have a minute of your time? I can't tell you how many people, like when I've done that, yeah, let's get on a call. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm talking to one of the top video production companies in Chicago, the owner of like Julian. He's coming out. I'm pretty sure he's coming out next month, and we're going to meet up.
Oh,
but awesome. That all just came from like reaching out and treating him like a mentor. Just like, what can I learn from you, man?
I love that, because you know what that's like, where, you know, you've cracked some codes and you're so proud of having broken through these pain points. And now seeing somebody who's going through it, it's so rewarding to be able to share that. And so to shorten their timeline to learn it and crack those codes without having to go through all the pain. I love when people reach out to me and say, Miro, whether it's Instagram or Facebook, like, Miro, can you help me manifest this dream client? Can you help me manifest this retreat I want to do? I'm like, of course.
Yeah.
And all it takes is asking, you know?
That's a humility that it takes, I think. It is a humility to humble yourself and go, I don't know everything. And to show up like that.
Yeah.
You know, I think that was one of the greatest things that one of my first mentors, Adam Urbanski, to this day, it's like a principle of mine. It's like, the only thing I know for sure is that I don't know shit. And at the time, the guy's already a legendary, you know, business marketing guru, still saying that.
Oh, he says that.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that was something that I adopted. Like, man, no wonder he's so far ahead, is because he was always a student to the game. He never acted like he knew it all. And so he never reached a ceiling of like, oh, well, I've learned it all, and I'm above this now. I you know, and so that, I feel like that's the approach that I've always tried to take.
I love that. The more I learn about high level business leaders, the way they operate is like consistently. Let's say CEOs, they'll say, you know, I just learned to surround myself by really smart people and get out of the way. And I hear things like, I think it goes like, you know, smart people can be rich, but wealthy people are ignorant. They're ignorant.
Wealthy people are ignorant?
Yeah. Meaning that I don't know. Can you help me with this? Right? So think about building a team. I mean, I think we experienced some of this. When I go in and I have all of the answers, what's going to my team think? Like, they're like, cool. Like, what are we doing here? It's like, why don't you do it all? That's great. But if it's like, hey, I don't know, I tried my way and I'm only one person and I cannot do this big mission by myself. You guys are extremely brilliant, though. And I see Alex Amazi do this too. He literally, and Layla talked about this, his wife's like, he'd be like, honey, I don't know how to do this. He kind of like played dumb a little bit. It was this, how do you use a knife to like chop, you know, veggies? Like, I really don't know. Can you help me? And then she'll go make a meal. You know what I mean? Like, great. And it's a little silly. There's a bunny though.
Oh, hi, bunny.
What's up, bunny?
Oh,
we have like all kinds of wildlife rolling up here.
Dude,
Earlier,
just like chilling.
I saw a bird with a snake in his mouth. I wasn't going to say anything.
Dude, I saw a bird that I think it might have been a roadrunner. It was like a little guy. He looked just like the roadrunner. He had like the little thing popping up out, and he was running super fast.
Yeah,
earlier.
Cool. Was it about like this tall?
Yeah, he came right up here, and then he ran around the house, and I just saw him over there like not too long ago. It was like a little roadrunner.
I think I saw him too.
I love Joshua Tree, man.
It's fun.
Yeah.
These rocks, so this is a total side note, but these are granite rocks, and they're the same type of granite rocks that they have in Aswan, Egypt, that they built the pyramids of.
Wow.
The Egyptian like pyramids of Giza, they're made out of these rocks.
Dude, I was gonna say these rocks feel really special. Like just looking at them, like there's a lot of wisdom in these rocks, a lot of years. Yeah,
we're gonna do a meditation in a little bit, and it's gonna be lit. The energy of granite is really grounding, and when you have a naturally grounding energy, it's that much easier to have your consciousness go into higher states.
I love it. Well, I'm excited now.
Yeah,
because we're gonna get to those higher states. I love it, man. With the audience, so stick around.
Yes.
Whoever's here.
I want to speak to that, dude.
Okay.
There was something that happened on this journey, and a really important loops I want to close. First
Please.
of all, the elevator moment. The lesson was that we have these moments in life that are elevator moments. For some people, it's the rock bottom, crying at the bathroom floor moment. And I'm here to say that you do not have to go to these depths of despair, loneliness, depression in order to choose your full yes life.
Agreed.
In order to change the direction, the trajectory.
It's like you absolutely don't. And I feel like some of us, like us two, went to those depths so others don't have to.
Exactly.
Is my hope.
Exactly. Like, please, like, take these lessons
Yes.
now and avoid, like, having to get killed on a balcony.
Yes. Agreed.
Right?
Yes.
Absolutely. That would be very cup filling for me to know that people who may have gotten off of their path have course corrected because of listening to this, taking action, getting into mentorship or communities. That would be amazing.
How do you find the community for you? You know, how did you really tap into, like, what's my mission? What was that guiding North Star for you through it all?
So, I've tried being in communities just for the sake of being in communities. And I noticed that there was, once you're in, it's exciting in the beginning, but then it kind of falls flat. Where I've noticed where I'm consistently nourished and the communities I'm still in and active in, I will all have a common goal. And sometimes it's achieving specific outcomes, but more often than not, it's actually learning specific skills together. So whether it's speaking and you're in a group, cool, we're all going to sharpening our skills. I was hanging out with our friends here, and my fiance Nicole, Vince, Natalie, they all met in a group coaching program to grow their businesses together, and they all formed these amazing, companies. And they're still friends because guess what? They're still growing their successful businesses together, and they have this like common things that brings people together. Even with guys, like if you go to a car meet, I'm a huge car enthusiast. Like a lot of like average guys, they don't just like you and me like have deep conversations about God and the universe for no reason, just because we want to. They have to have an excuse. They have to go to a car meet and have the hood open and just like look at this project, and then they start having connections and conversation because they're building something together. Like, cool, here's my rig. Let me take a look at yours, So there's that. But yeah, the communities that I've noticed that are thriving is people have a common goal. And so specifically for me, I was strategic about the specific skills I learned that I needed to master in order to become the conscious entrepreneur I want to be. So they're in the realm of mindset and personal development, my very own leadership, marketing, I'm going to be a student of forever, sales, I'm going to be a student of forever, growing and leading teams, I'm going to be a student of forever. So being in environments where those things are important, that's where I'm going to be at,
I love your approach to really like wanting to be that multifaceted, like multi-tool. Like I want to try to master all of it, because that's the same approach I took. And I've been laughed at for that. I've been laughed at by, saying that I had a business in my first few years. And I remember people would laugh at me and go, ha, look at my age and go like, yeah, like in college, like around people like that age, just laugh at me. And then I would just look at them like, why not? Like,
I love that.
Why not? Why not be a director? Why not be an entrepreneur too? Why not be good at marketing? Why not? Why not push yourself to do more than what's like the lowest denominator thing that is expected of someone at a certain age or whatever? It's like I think I always had this drive to just be more. And I love that about you too, because I sense that, man. It's like going after it all. We want it all.
Do the people who like laughed at your dreams or like criticize you, like where are they now?
Hopefully
successful.
Hopefully they've learned, and hopefully they're no longer criticizing people, because this is something that I see still a lot of, even in like people I know is like this something that it's like I don't want to judge them at all. This isn't a judgment. I don't I try not to judge anyone, but it's like they haven't quite gotten there yet where it's like they call it an ick. They call it the ick on social media right now, like on TikTok.
Tell me more.
It's like, ooh, like that's an ick. That gives me an ick. And like it'll be like, some girl on TikTok talking about seeing someone trying to market their business or trying to learn something or do something, and they're like, that's it. That's an ick. Or cringe is another very popular thing. It's like, oh, that's cringe. Okay, And it's so funny because it's like there's people who I'll see who will just sit there, and that's what they bring to the table, is pointing out other things that are cringe, and that's it. But if I asked them like, what are you building? What are you expressing? What's if that's cringe, then what are you showing up to bring to the table? Oftentimes that's it. It's they're sitting there as a critic.
Yeah.
And to me, there's nothing more cringe than being too afraid to be cringe, and then so you're just sitting there doing nothing.
Right.
That's the cringiest thing I could possibly imagine.
Yeah. Much rather like go all in, try, fail, and learn and do it again than sit on the sidelines and just like commenting on other people living their life. And
then like that, like as an excuse for a perspective.
And they will have justifications while they're on the sidelines, and they'll say it won't work for you, and they'll say it's the same stuff that prevents them from doing it. They'll say that's why you can't, And it's so common. That's why community is important. People who believe in you, who are cheerleaders.
And I was there. That's another reason why I say I don't judge, because I was
you were that guy. You were the guy on the sideline?
Come on. For a long time, through high school, through being bullied, and through feeling like I didn't have the stripped of my voice, or feeling like I was stripped of my dignity, or
So you were that guy who said I wasn't going to be able to make it.
I was that guy once, and so I get it.
Cool.
And it really comes down to taking that long, hard look at yourself, and realizing it's like no one else is gonna do it. I got to do it. 100% accountability, man.
I've heard this social media quote somewhere that landed for me, and it's like, don't listen to constructive criticism from people who haven't constructed the life that you want to live.
Totally.
But also the opposite is true. Like when you have someone that is living the result that you want, take notes. A lot of us like to share how this works, Yeah. There was something more that I wanted to share about the journey. So there was this key elevator moment awakening. That was my first like spiritual awakening, even though I didn't know that's what it was. Then a second sort of dark night of the soul, my corporate dropout experience, going through divorce and finding my first, NLP type coaches and understanding personal development at a deeper level. And then my third awakening was actually way easier than all of that. Way easier. I literally just went to a Theta healing workshop, and I was like, yo, I can create life like this. I can create my future, my dream life, literally by meditating, connecting with this universal life force, like the force from Star Wars, straight up, and call in a person, an experience that I want, and then be in the joyful anticipation of that happening until it's done, and then having it materialize in my life. And it literally happened. I took specific workshops to help me when I was very full in my love life to call in the one. And I said, I want my divine compatible soulmate, my divine compatible soulmate, like life partner. That's what it was about. Yeah. And it was so beautiful, man. I met Nikki and we went to Tulum together. It was my first retreat. And I saw notes of her journal, because she's a masterful manifester. And she'd been like 3 pages of notes calling in the one, her like husband, right? Describing me in insane detail. She wrote things like, has an accent, but, speaks English well, foreign, but not too foreign, spiritual, entrepreneur. It was all of the things, 3 pages. And I looked at it, it's like, wow.
Wow.
And I mean, I'm getting teary-eyed because I've told her many times, waking up next to her now in California or here in Joshua Tree is like, I look at her and I was like, she's living proof that manifestation works and God's real.
Oh yeah.
And then after unpacking that a little bit more, I was like, that's who I am. You know, that's what I stand for. Manifestation. And look, God may not work for everyone as a term, and that's fine. But we're clear that there's a higher power, universal life force that just know I've experienced. It's undeniable, you know? And so, yeah, I started taking these classes and had profound awakenings. And guess what? No elevator moments. It was no freaking crashing on the ground. It was literally mentors and teachers and practicing new tools.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, life started unfolding in a way that's flow states.
Flow state.
Joy.
Absolutely.
You know? Celebration.
I love that.
Yeah.
When was this?
So the timeline is kind of crazy. So 2018 is the full breakdown. I'm starting my business from nothing.
Uh-huh.
And I made $0 pretty much my first year. And I had my first 6-figure year in 2019.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
1 year.
All social
A
media,
breakthrough.
just like still somewhat grinding it out, to be honest. But then I started taking those classes towards the end of 2019, 2020, 2021, and I really haven't stopped. And I had a full quantum leap. We did a 6-figure year. 6-figure year in 2019, 6-figure month in 2020, and then 6 figures in 7 days at our first retreat. During the pandemic, people traveling out, you know.
I was gonna say my first 6 figures in 1 month was at the end of 2020, which is also happened to be the year of the rock bottom at the beginning of 2020 to the end of 2020, first 6-figure month.
Massive. We're super synced.
Hmm?
Have you noticed the timelines? We're super synced.
I know. I was
like,
gonna say,
everything
dude,
is
like our entrepreneur, everything. It's like, whoa, that's crazy.
And now we hear shotgun mics and everything.
Shotgun mics, Joshua Tree.
Yeah, and the tree's out.
Dude,
So good.
such a life is a journey, man. What a trip.
Yeah, it's the
been a
best.
trip.
The most rewarding thing in the world is seeing people like Nikki, my fiance. People come to our events and retreats, now go on, get inspired to launch their own retreats, and then have people come, have the breakthroughs and awakenings, and they're like, I'm going to launch my own thing and go out there and do that, and the ripple of that.
Oh, yeah, dude.
You know, I've seen...
How does that? Well, give me some. Give me some of those impact stories, man. Like, what have you seen at your retreats? And
dude, it ranges. You know, I remember one of my favorite stories was Caroline. She was out of Belgium. Shout out to Caroline. She made this incredible. I have permission to share this. She made this incredible video for me too. She said that when we met, she was at brink of divorce. She was depressed. She hadn't slept. She has an autistic husband and autistic children. So like she was stretched. Her business was not growing at all. She had I think $8,500 like mortgage that was due every month, and she was way over her head. So she was totally transparent with me on our first call. I provided a session for her, and like at the end of it, she was already so much better. We did another call, and she's like, holy shit. She told me that literally she got clear with her husband and they're better than ever. Then a couple of weeks later, we did another check-in. Her kids said, we have our mom back. And that was just the biggest thing. You know, I'm thinking about my mom and how she wasn't emotionally available because of all the stuff that she had gone through. To be able to empower, you know, parents now, even entrepreneurs to have their power back and be there for their children.
It's beautiful, man.
Absolutely beautiful. And of course, she manifested their dream clients, raised her prices with confidence, and like, you know, has a new floor in terms of financial abundance. And that was gorgeous. Now, Nicole, I think, you know, that's probably my forever favorite testimonial. When my fiance came to our Tulum retreat, and I was telling her, like, goddess bath, like, she told me about this ritual that she's doing. I was like, that's a whole multi-million-dollar coaching empire, you know. I see that for you. She's like, what? Me? No, right? And then she came to the retreat, got the downloads, inspiration, and immediately to support the community. She got the clarity, the commitment, the community, right? Think the King's Code, all the elements there,
Boom.
right at one retreat. And then sure enough, launched her Goddess Bath subscription box community. Over 1,500 women are now in her community practicing self-care alchemy together. And she has a Greece retreat coming up, and it's her like third. And she's been profitable with every single retreat she's done. So like all the pain I had to go through to figure that out, she's skipping the line, just
Disney
like,
Fast Pass.
Yeah, Fast
line.
Pass, VIP Pass, and that's so
wow.
rewarding.
What an
And
incredible story.
I was at her Tulum retreat, and shout out to her name is Sabrina. Sabrina is now hosting a Machu Picchu retreat because she came to that experience. You know what I mean? And it just keeps going. And then us doing Abundant Tribe Leaders together. That was so beautiful. Massive shout out to John and Dr. Monsi. They went to a full, like, struggling somewhat, barely breaking even with events, to full 300K in sales at one event.
Explosion. Hey, boop.
Full
No, don't be sorry.
explosion.
Explosion, dude. 10x from the previous events.
Yep. 10x straight up.
Hell yeah, dude.
And we're just getting started.
Just getting started, man.
The
It's
ripple
great to
of
be on the
impact.
team, bro. It's great to be on team with you.
Mm.
You are the man.
Thank you, brother.
Miro the hero. Dude, oh man, there's so much I would like to unpack here. And we have, only so much time
Yeah.
to have a podcast. But I want to know, man, like what I'm excited for is I get to unpack more with Nikki because she's up next.
Yes.
So Nikki's here. Next episode,
Yes.
we'll get into her Goddess Bath experience, the retreat, and then of course you're also intertwined in her legacy now. So that's just awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'd love to end it though, or where I'd love to start wrapping it up, is what's next for you, man?
Mm-hmm.
What are you excited about this year?
So I feel like this land that we're on is a great representation of how I love to live life. And big realization this year is really the life by design. We're looking at hosting more retreats ourselves, supporting more leaders with theirs, and then actually acquiring land like this where people come fly out, and we have the hot tubs and the ice baths, and really a space for retreats to be held at a very affordable price, because I way overpaid for many experiences I've had. To set up the Entrepreneurs for Success, but also just to live out loud, whatever it takes, like ATVs, we can just go crazy with it.
I love that.
By hosting transformational experiences in nature, not just here, or also international, but I'm getting into acquiring land, and then we want to do a school bus conversion, a schoolie.
Keep me updated with the acquiring land part.
Okay, cool.
Because I'd definitely be interested in hearing more about co-investing.
Hell yeah.
I mean, I think we're aligned in the transformational work that we want to give to others. So
yeah, it's part of the vision, brother.
Keep me in mind.
I got you. We want to do this together.
Yeah, dude. I love that. Also, keeping it affordable. I would love to give transformational experiences to aspiring entrepreneurs at the start of their journey, giving them the tools, like everything they need, like from the mentorship to the marketing systems, like that, just like, and like a really holistic way of lifting others up into their business and their life by design.
Yeah.
That's the move, man.
Yeah, I call it the fuck yes life. It's the type of life you don't need a vacation from.
Oh yeah, energizes you every morning. I feel that way, man. Like more and more, like every morning I'm waking up, I'm like, let's go. Another day, living the dream. Like,
I mean, we get to do this.
Yeah, man.
What's not to love?
Well, that's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed. We also have a separate Theta healing session that Miro actually facilitated and led me through. And this is actually, I would say, one of the most profound 20-minute exercises I have done. Miro's capabilities as a healer. Miro, he literally has the lineage of healers in his family, from his mother to his grandmother. And so I would say that if you are interested, if you're into that, definitely tune in. I'm going to be posting that as a separate video. It's about 20 minutes. And I would highly suggest that you just go into it with an open mind. And he's going to delve into his King's Code. So, if that sounds interesting to you, I would highly suggest it. And also be sure to, if you haven't, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, comment below if any of this episode resonated with you. I'd love to hear about it, as well as find Miro's socials in the description. Shoot him a follow. He's an awesome guy, and I'm sure he'd love to see you follow him and hit you up and chat with you. So that's the beauty of this podcast is, these are all real people, and they're within reach, and that's really the goal too, is like these stories are meant to be within reach. All of Miro's story and his struggle, I love how candidly he shares it, and he shares it from a place of like wanting to help others. And so I really do hope that this episode and the subsequent and the upcoming episodes have been helpful. And if so, I'd love to hear in the comments how these stories have helped you in some way. Anyways, till next time, see you soon.